Hey there, Total Female Hockey family. Welcome to the Total Female Hockey podcast. Today I wanted to talk about what I call hashtag hockey, okay, or what we see on social media. We see highlights. Even when you're watching on TV, you're watching on YouTube, you get those 5-minute clips or 1-minute clips, and it's all highlights. And that's great. I love watching highlights too. I like to see the beautiful goal. I love to see the amazing block someone makes. I love to see those big saves. But that's not the majority of the game. And if all we're ever learning or looking at is hashtag hockey or highlights hockey, then we're missing a huge part of our potential development as players and as coaches. So I think something like a Michigan or a ridiculous shootout move, and ridiculous I mean in a good way, those are awesome. Those are aspirational. Ooh, I want to be able to do that. And to spend time doing that in your backyard or on the ice in order to learn and be able to showcase that move, I think that's great, but they're pretty low frequency skills. The opportunity to do them doesn't present itself that frequently in a game. So if you've got, a certain amount of time that you want to spend on your development, what are the more high frequency and high value skills? And this is especially for coaches out there. There's a million things we could work on in every practice, and we simply just don't have enough time to allocate to everything. Like, how often do you get to your neutral zone face-offs? Very, very rarely. So we need to prioritize certain things. And I think players, you need to do the same thing. What are the highest value, highest frequency skills? So let me give you an example of some things that would be the most valuable, the most high frequency. A weight shift. So being able to load and explode east-west when you're skating to get around somebody, if you have the puck, if you don't have the puck, even defensively, to be able to adjust to get into that attacking player's lane. Again, a weight shift, not particularly exciting, and not that hard to teach or that hard to do. Those happen all the time, but as I work with minor hockey players, how many of them are actually elite at that? Not that many. So that's an example of a very high frequency, very high value skill, because if you can't do it, you're not going to be able to win an attack or defend very well in one-on-one situations. Another one that's extremely high value is the ability to disrupt the puck. Not necessarily steal it, but in one-on-one situations, can you do enough to disrupt the opponent's stick and body in order for your team to have a better chance of winning that battle? So I think that's a very undervalued skill, and it's an extremely high-frequency skill. You don't have the puck all game. You need to fight and hunt to get it back. So you have to be good at disrupting the opponent so that you have the opportunity to steal the puck. That doesn't mean you're just hunting the stick and sword fighting. That's what I call it when you're just lifting the stick. You have to be able to cut the hands. You have to be able to get in their lane, all the terms we often use. But how often as coaches or as players are we actually valuing those skills and working on them a lot in our practices? I think it's really, really important. It's one of those things that is always going to be a great tool to have in your toolbox. Another one would be wall play. The puck's on the wall way too much in hockey. Definitely in the female game, it gets stuck on the wall a lot. So things like puck retrievals. So can you go into a loose puck and pick it up with speed, not end up stopped? Can you scan before you get there? Can you pick it up and already know what decision you want to make next? Do you have an escape route on that wall? Or have you gotten yourself so close to it that you have to stop or else you're going to run right through the wall? Being able to retrieve a puck is not just a defenseman's skill on the breakout. That's on every shot recovery in the offensive zone. If our attacking player wins that battle into the corner or wins that race into the corner, she's going to have to retrieve that puck and come out and make a play. These retrievals happen constantly, because the puck is loose and not possessed by either team at least half of the game. So how can we teach that? How can we be better than that? We have to practice it. There's no other way to do it. You have to practice it all the time. Again, a very high frequency, high value skill that's not that exciting, really. Ooh, great puck retrieval. Like, I get excited about that on the bench, but I understand it's not going to make the Instagram highlight reel. But it's going to happen a lot, and if you do it very, very well, it's going to make you a much more effective hockey player for your team. The last one would be passing, and definitely passing technique is absolutely critical, and I think that's something that's missing, especially on backhand give and receive. I think it's really, really weak. But also things like how much weight to put in a pass, things like indirect passes or passes to space, area passes, that could be way, way better. I think also one area that we all could work on. It doesn't matter if you're coaching U9 like I am, or you're coaching a national team like I am. You've got to be able to receive a bad pass. Again, even at the PWHL level, the NHL level, there's bad passes all the time. Not intentionally, but just because there's not enough space and time to make a great tape-to-tape pass. So they're getting it in their feet. And if you watch the top players play, it doesn't matter if it's in their feet. It's still right up to their stick and they continue skating. But how many times in a minor hockey game have you seen the fall apart, or the entry into the zone or the offensive zone fall apart because the passes aren't good, but the people receiving it can't deal with a bad pass? I believe players should be able to receive any pass that's within 360 degrees of their stick. So if they spin around 360 degrees when they have the stick out in front of them, you should be able to receive that pass. I'm not saying you want the bad pass, but you've got to get the reps in practice to be able to control those passes. That's going to make a significant impact in the game. That is an extremely high frequency skill and a high value skill. And again, do we want those bad passes to happen? Absolutely not. But if you're great at controlling them, it's going to make you way better for your team, and your team as a whole is going to get way, way better. So just like off the ice, I talk about the not so sexy stuff like stretching and drinking enough water and doing your mental performance work, whether that's visualization or your breathing. I get it. That stuff's not exciting. And working on receiving a bad pass, or your weight shift, or picking up a rim or retrieving a puck off the wall, not as exciting as the Michigan or that awesome shootout move. I get it, but they happen a lot more often, and they're going to be a lot more valuable to yourself as a player and to your team overall over time. So I think when we're watching clips, it's great to watch those highlights. They're, like I said, inspirational. It's something you aspire to. I think that's great. But you got to watch the full game, or watch a period of the game, and watch what's happening from the whole picture, not just that one player dangling somebody else. So watch the team who has the puck. I'd like you to watch the players who don't have the puck. So the team has possession. Often we're only watching that one player who has actual possession of the puck. I want you to think about what the other four skaters are doing. How are they getting open? How are they, being puck ready and having a great passing target? That's an extremely high value, high frequency skill. Every time your team has possession and you don't have the puck, how are you getting open? How are you creating for the puck carrier? How are you making the puck carrier have a billion options so she can make a great decision? That's extremely high frequency, but again, how often do we teach it or think about it? You've got to watch games in order to learn those things. I think also watching games, you're going to see all the things you need to work on defensively. And those are extremely high frequency and high value because your team isn't going to have the puck 100% of the time. So things like being able to hunt it back in those one-on-one situations. Angling, which is always one of the weakest skills in every team that I work with. That ability to angle in open ice or along the wall, it's just not strong enough. And so you can watch those things and you can learn those things, but you're not going to see them on the Instagram highlight reels. You're not going to see them on that 5-minute YouTube clip that you can find online. You're going to have to watch the game, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a period, or a full game. Watch what's happening away from the puck for the team that's got possession, and watch what's happening defensively for the team that doesn't have possession. That's how you really become a student of the game. That's how you develop your hockey IQ. So if you want to work on those, those hashtag skills, those hashtag highlight skills, that's great. But don't take away from the high value, high frequency skills that are actually going to make you a better player for your team. So thanks for listening. I'm done my little rant. I really appreciate you listening to the Total Female Hockey Podcast. I love putting it together. It's really, really a passion of mine now. I love to talk hockey, and I love to hear from all of you on ideas you have or feedback you have on what we're talking about. So definitely send me an email, kim@totalfemalehockey.com. If you have any feedback or you have any topics that you'd like us to cover in future episodes. I'm really excited to the upcoming announcement of the Orange Machine. We're going to launch that within the next couple of weeks, and that's going to be a whole different source of information and inspiration for you, whether you're a player, a parent, or a coach in the female game. So I'm super excited for that. I know I keep talking about it on the podcast. I promise it's coming soon. So thank you for sharing the podcast. Thank you for giving us that feedback. Thank you for rating us on whatever podcast player you're listening on. I really appreciate it. Keep working hard, dreaming big, and working on those high frequency, high value skills.